To build a standard pit latrine still costs a mini fortune. The minimum wage is 18,000 naira. Do you think an average Nigerian could provide this? Because you said you'll be relying more on the individuals to sustain this project.
The community-led total sanitation approach encourages people to work, to cooperate. So today they can provide the labor to go and build a toilet in this compound and move to another one. It's a cooperative approach to things. We don't have to spend too much money. It's been tested, and I will invite you to go and see some of the communities. Maybe you need to do a program on that to see how they're using local materials, 100% local materials to build toilets. Yes, it's a pit latrine, but it's also a hygienic pit latrine.
Now, coming back to the funding strategy of the state of emergency in the water sector, you are looking at a strategy different from the envelope budgeting system. So could you expatiate how this is going to work?
We want to create, and that has been approved by FEC, we want to create what we call a wash fund. The wash fund is not only going to be funded by the federal government and the state government, it's like a basket, so that donors and the government can put in money and we can agree on specific programs that need to be done for water and sanitation, and then and begin to implement it. There will be a mechanism for collection, for funding the fund, and then for also expenditure. It's happening successfully in other countries. In Ethiopia, for instance, they call it one wash, and the government and every stakeholder in water and sanitation puts in the money there, and there is a steering committee. There are lots of governance structures that enable the states, the country, to pursue its water sanitation hygiene program, and it's very, very successful. All the international conferences we attend, we always see Ethiopia being celebrated, and that has worked, and that's the kind of model we think will also work for this country.
Could you expatiate more on the WASH fund? That's talking about water, sanitation, and hygiene. Am I right? That's the WASH fund. How will this change the reality on ground?
So that's the example of what in Ethiopia, that's how it is. They call it one wash, but that's the same thing. That's the WASH fund. In Ethiopia, they call it one wash. The entire program is called one wash, and they have the WASH fund in it.
This also takes us to the water policy. How effective is the national water policy? I recall sometimes last year you made some serious alarm on the need to change the national water policy. How far have you gone in that regard?
Well, are you referring to the water bill, the water law, or the water policy? Because the water policy has already, we have a new water policy which this government adopted since September 2016, and that's running. And then the elements of that policy have now been incorporated into the new water resources bill. That bill is at its final stages of being passed. It has already been passed by the House of Representatives, and we're hoping that any time from now, the Senate will also pass it. Key elements are that, one, there were so many fragmented laws. The Act on River Basins, the Integrated Water Resource Management Act, the Water Act, and then there have been conflicts with other laws, like the laws related to Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, some environmental laws, and so on. And the whole idea has been to streamline so that that conflict no longer exists. And that we have done. And like I said, the bill has received a good response from the National Assembly. Other aspects of the bill will be the facilitation of the creation of a regulatory agency, so that the private sector can now be incentivized to operate, in the water supply sector and also sanitation, as it were. Because with regulation, then it's easier, issues of tariff and so on. It gives a better sense of security for the private sector to come in and participate in aspects of water supply and sanitation. Of course, we have the aspects related to irrigation, which now will provide for the irrigation farmers to be more involved in the management of irrigation systems in the country. We have what we call a provision for catchment modeling, catchment management committee, so that all the states within a particular catchment can be members, and it will encourage better management of our watershed. We have issues that will require us regulating all this drilling of boreholes and so on, and so many other things. And for the first time, we are going to have a comprehensive water law for the country, similar to what obtains in other countries of the world.